And we're live, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Madam Deputy Clerk, and good morning, everybody, and welcome to our special Wednesday edition of Council. And the special council meeting starting at 9 o'clock this morning, so we call this meeting to order, and I'll look to Councillor DeLeo for our land acknowledgement. Councillor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, everyone. The town of Wasaga Beach acknowledges it is located upon the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe people of the Three Fires Confederacy. We also acknowledge that the people of the Wyandot Nation also inhabited these lands. We acknowledge that these nations were sovereign nations existing before the arrival of settlers. We respect the spiritual interconnection among these nations to the land and to the water. We also acknowledge that waterways near us have a long history predating European arrival. Since time immemorial, waterways were the lifeblood of the indigenous people by trade and hunting routes. We are dedicated to inclusivity of First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people in our future stewardship of the land and the longest freshwater beach in the world. In the spirit of reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity of learning to be sustainable caretakers of the land and waterways for all future generations. Thank you.
Very good, Councillor. Thank you very much. Item number 2 on the agenda is disclosure of pecuniary interests. I have none before me at this point in time. If at some point throughout the meeting you feel you have a pecuniary interest, please let us know at that time. Item number 3 is adoption of the agenda, and we do have a recommended motion that the contents of the agenda of June 25th, 2025 be approved as circulated. Any questions or comments on this? Could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Councillor White and Councillor Timms, all in favour? That carries unanimously. Item number 4 is presentations, and 4.1 is the Geosands Inc. AGM 2024 year in review. And we have Brandon Weiss, Peter Prager, and Ashley Karamatic to provide that presentation from WDI. So, lady and gentlemen, welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Your Worship and members of Council. We're pleased to be here today to present our presentation for the annual general meeting. As Mayor Smith has already introduced it. A little back, I'm too loud. I've never been accused of being too loud. Okay. To my left, Brandon Weiss is the president and CEO of Geosands and also the subsidiary companies, and to his left is Ashley Karamatic, who is the manager of regulatory and finance. So I'd just like to go through the agenda on slide 2 there. It's a fairly straightforward agenda. We have some introductory remarks that I will make. Brandon will go ahead and make the presentation for the midterm updates, looking ahead on the 2024 financial and operational. Still too loud. Should I whisper? That's better. Okay, good. Then we're going to have on item 3, we're going to have the presentation of our audited financial statements, and then we have a housekeeping item for item number 4A, which is a bylaw amendment for our particular bylaws. So just a few introductory remarks. I just want to make comments that Wasaga Beach is a growing and dynamic community. We recognize the importance of aligning our infrastructure that we have in our utility and service planning and align it with your vision for the town. Our focus today is to present our 2024 results, present our audited financial statements, and discuss our ongoing strategies and initiatives. We're going to provide an update of our recent activities within the town, highlighting upcoming projects, and share how we are preparing to meet the needs of the community. We're also going to touch on system performance, infrastructure investment, community engagement, and some of the challenges that we're navigating, especially as we work towards the growing needs of the town and the community. When we look at our financial performance over the past 3 years, our subsidiaries has demonstrated consistent financial performance. Revenue streams have remained stable despite external pressures such as inflation and evolving market dynamics. Returns have been steady, predictable, and support our long-term planning for investment strategy, with the overall trend to reflect a positive increase in returns, reinforcing our utilities' financial strength. That said, as we advance our investment plans, we do anticipate some short-term pressures on returns, which is expected and manageable, and it is not a surprise to us. At the consolidated level, while our 2024 returns reflect a prior period adjustment, I want to emphasize that this was a non-recurring accounting correction. You'll see it there on this slide there when you look at the 2024 numbers there. And it is not indicative of our current or future operational performance. and we'll speak to more to this in the detail when we present our audited financial statements. When we talk about dividends, our strong financial results have translated into reliable dividend distribution to our shareholder. These consistent payments reflect the company's solid financial performance and foundation. Our dividend distribution have remained strong, reinforcing the value we continue to deliver to the shareholder while maintaining our financial discipline. That said, we do recognize the importance of balancing priorities. Each year, we carefully evaluate the appropriate balance between our operational needs, our infrastructure, our investment, and our shareholder value. With significant new development occurring in the beach, particularly at the beachfront and the East End areas, the need for infrastructure investments is increasing. And as such, we remain committed to aligning our financial strategies with both long-term system needs and shareholder expectations. That said, as we prioritize our capital investments to support system growth and reliability, there will be short-term pressures on returns. As a result, it is important to recognize that dividends at this level that we have historically provided may not be feasible in the near future. However, we do continue to strive for appropriate balance between operational needs, infrastructure investments, and shareholder value each year. And we do evaluate that process each year as we go forward when we calculate the dividends. So with that in mind, I'd like to turn it over to Brandon to go through some of the more details, financial details and strategies. Thank you.
Thanks, Peter, and good morning, Your Worship and members of Council. So I really would like to take a couple moments to provide an update on our own ongoing strategies and initiatives, and this includes the work we are doing within the town, upcoming infrastructure projects, and how we're preparing to meet the evolving needs of the community and supporting the energy needs of the development we foresee. As development accelerates across the region, and particularly in Wasaga Beach, we are focused on delivering infrastructure and system performance required to support growth in a sustainable and reliable way. I'm going to touch on several key areas: our recent and planned investments, our continued engagement within the community, and some of the challenges we're actively navigating as we balance reliability, load growth, and our financing needs. We are ensuring we remain proactive, forward-thinking, and aligned with the expectations of our customers, our regulator, and our shareholder. When we're looking at some of the work we've been doing this year, we are investing in a modern and reliable system. A core focus of our strategy remains building a modern and reliable distribution system, one that can support the growing needs of Wasaga Beach today and into the future. For example, on Beechwood Drive on the west end of town, we are actively building out a pole line as we speak, replacing aging infrastructure, undertaking storm hardening to increase the risk, to reduce the outage risk, and increase the reliability. We are preparing for increased capacity requirements in that area, ensuring we can accommodate not just for today's customers, but for the customers of the future. In the East End and in the beachfront area, we continue to work closely with the developers, the local landowner group, and the municipality to proactively plan and align our infrastructure to support our future growth. At the provincial level, we know the government has placed a strong emphasis on advancing housing development, and we are taking the necessary steps to ensure we are ready to support all the services that are needed and related to that growth. We continue to explore grid modernization opportunities, and we have submitted a smart grid modernization proposal to NRCan. We are hopeful for a positive outcome, which would enable us to enhance our real-time system visibility, improve automation, and equip us with the tools necessary to improve on our customer-facing outage map and our reporting. As you may recall, I had previously presented to Council to highlight the potential of an opportunity with respect to the battery energy storage system. Unfortunately, some of those proposals that we had submitted to NRCan were not able to proceed, but we continue to remain committed to identifying alternative paths to future funding opportunities. Our customers remain a priority, So we recently completed a 2025 customer satisfaction survey, and the insights from that and our regular engagement in the community are already informing some of our future plans. We've enhanced and launched a new customer portal, and alongside that, we promoted our e-billing services. And through an enrollment campaign, this has resulted in a $1,200 donation to the food bank. Internally, we continue to invest in our people through ongoing training, development, and a continued focus on workplace wellness. I do want to take a moment to speak specifically to the March 30th ice storm. Like many across Ontario, we experienced challenges. However, thanks to the effort of our team, the resiliency we built into our infrastructure, we responded quickly and effectively. And we were able to deploy some of our field staff to support neighboring municipalities. In the aftermath, we have reviewed our performance, and we have since updated our emergency response plan to reflect those lessons learned, ensuring we are even better prepared as we move forward. We are also committed to strengthen our cybersecurity posture in line with our regulatory requirements, ensuring that resiliency is not just built within our physical system, but also within our digital environment. And with respect to regulatory and industry initiatives, we recognize that building a modern and reliable system isn't something we do alone. We continue to work closely with our partners, our regulators, developer, and other utilities. When we're looking at our capability to meet the changing environment needs and some of our top challenges, the beachfront, new load growth, and capacity needs remain our top challenge. Our utility is anticipated to experience significant growth, driven by both residential and commercial development, and this will be all over town. This requires ongoing infrastructure upgrades and expanded capacity to support the increasing electricity needs. And this is also further amplified by the broader electrification trends we are seeing. Balancing rising operational and capital expenditures with the need to maintain reliable services remains a challenge, and we are committed to managing rate pressures carefully to deliver value to our ratepayers without compromising our service quality. The regulatory landscape is continuously evolving, and we must stay agile to meet new compliance requirements and increase oversight, which demands close operational alignment and proactive risk management. There is also heightened pressure to improve communication and transparency from all of our stakeholders. We are focused on delivering long-term value while responding effectively to our dynamic environment. And finally, with respect to unregulated growth, we are open to strategic, non-regulated initiatives, but we must carefully manage our resources to maintain flexibility, and this will enable us to explore emerging opportunities should they present themselves, while ensuring they fit within our long-term growth strategies. When we're looking ahead, we have some of our foundational work underway. As we position the organization for the future, we are collaborating across our corporate group, ensuring that we are aligning our resources, looking into our strategic priorities, and looking at our vision. Recently, our board has approved our long-term growth strategies, and these will shape the development of our strategic plan and guide our decisions over the next few years. When we're looking at our 2026 to 2031, some of our strategic focus, we are looking ahead to ensure our infrastructure keeps pace with the growth of the town. And this means aligning our system with development, manage the rising demand, and invest strategically to ensure capacity needs are proactively addressed. We are committed to fostering a culture of inclusion, collaboration, and accountability. And this includes prioritizing employee development, continuous learning, and a continued strong focus on health and wellness and employee well-being. We are working to integrate advanced technologies, including AI assistance, expanded digital tools, and enhanced automation. Customers remain a focus, and we are enhancing service delivery to maintain trust and satisfaction while also managing costs carefully to ensure affordability still remains top of mind. We continue to reinforce our system for the long term, and this includes planning for integration of distributed energy resources and increasing system agility to respond to changing demands. And with respect to external collaboration, we recognize that effective collaboration is essential for our success. That's why we are staying close and monitoring regulatory and policy developments and actively engaging with government and developers. And we're also pursuing strategic partnerships to create shared value, advocating for solutions that work for Wasaga Beach while supporting broader provincial objectives. We are well positioned to continue to deliver value to the community. I want to touch on some operational statistics. And with respect to 2024, this was an anomalous year in terms of our outage performance. Both in duration and frequency, our outages were significantly higher than our 5-year averages. And this was largely due to unpredictable weather events and some unfortunate incidences. Customers experienced an average of 3.06 outages over the year, and this was nearly 3 times higher than our 5-year average. In terms of duration, the average total outage time reached 5.15 hours per customer, which was more than double what we had seen over the previous 5 years. We are actively using this data to guide our strategic investments to continue to reinforce in-system reliability, both current and into the future to support the future demand. Across the board, the utility performs well. Residential and customer rates remain among the lowest in the province. Customer satisfaction scores have consistently indicated strong satisfaction results, and we are grateful that our customers continue to have confidence in our ability to meet their needs. We also had strong financial performance in 2024. WDI has reported a 10.06 return on equity. With respect to some of our trends, we've seen a 5-year, 5.7% compounded annual growth in distribution and other revenue. We've seen a 15% compounded annual growth in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. Although in the short term, I do anticipate these trends to level off as we are experiencing a slowdown in development at this moment. Just to close out, the utility continues to perform well, delivering reliable service and strong operational outcomes. At the same time, we recognize that there is always room for improvement. Our focus remains being well prepared, ensuring we maintain system performance today while positioning ourselves to meet the needs of a growing and evolving community. Through strategic, long-term approach, we are committed to continued investment in infrastructure, people, and technology to support both growth and sustainability. I will pass this on to Ashley to present the 2024 consolidated audited financial statements. Thank you.
Thank you, Brandon. So the following will provide a high-level overview of the consolidated Geosands financial statements for 2024. So I will discuss some of the major components and provide some clarity on the year-over-year changes. Okay. So Geosands Inc. and its subsidiaries are primarily a municipality-owned local distribution company, providing service to nearly 16,000 residential and commercial customers. Over the last 5 years, we have seen an annual 2.4% growth in our customer base. In 2024, it was 1.8%. Wasaga Beach is predominantly a residential community, with 94% of our overall customer base being residential customers. 80% of our distribution revenues are generated from the residential class. The regulated business comprises 97% of the total capital assets, which includes poles, wires, and transformers, and approximately 82% of the consolidated earnings before interest, taxes, and depreciation. So the consolidated statements for Geosands Inc. Comes from the operating businesses of WDI and WRSI. The operating businesses are individually audited with annual interim testing done to test controls, with the auditors generally focusing on the higher risk areas. For all three audits for 2024, KPMG issued an unqualified audit opinion indicating that the financial statements for all companies are free from material misstatement. The Board of Directors approved the audited statements on April 30th, 2025. No issues, management letters were presented to all entities, and it was indicated that a strong system of control remain in place. So here's a snapshot of the consolidated financial position at the end of 2024 over 2023. So the decrease in the total current assets is largely related to lower work in progress at the end of 2024 as compared to 2023. In addition, income taxes were a receivable at the end of 2023, whereas at the end of 2024, they were in a payable position. Total non-current assets have increased about 3.7 million, which is mainly related to a focus on pole line rebuilds, as well as a couple of subdivision development projects. The regulatory credit and debit balances decreased over 2023 due to our rate application being approved by the Ontario Energy Board, which allows us to recover our deferral accounts from our customers beginning May 1st, 2024, rate increase. Okay, so here's a high-level view of the consolidated statements of comprehensive income. And I just wanted to say, that I apologize, there is a typo on the slide underneath the revenues. The construction for 2024 was actually 1.8 million. With that said, the decrease in total current assets, revenue increased by about 4.6 million in 2024 over 2023. This is largely related to the sale of power of 2.5 million, construction revenue of 1.5 million, and our distribution services revenue of 500,000. Operating expenses increased 1.1 million year over year, which is related to 917,000 increase of construction expenses, which is offset by the construction revenue. 335,000 increase in general and administration, which is mainly a result of cost of living adjustments, as well as we had a net new position. This is also offset by the decrease in a provision for rate refund, which was paid back to our customers in 2023. The movement in regulatory deferrals, this is an increase in comprehensive income. It is mainly related to an increase in the sale of power and the method in which we are required to report to the Ontario Energy Board versus what we are required to report for tax purposes. So financially, Geosands Inc. performed well in 2024. We had a solid financial position, and we were able to declare a dividend to the town of 600,000.
Thank you, Ashley. We have one more item that we need to do from a housekeeping standpoint. Go to the next slide. We have a bylaw approval amendment and restated bylaw number 1. This is to our own bylaws. The purpose of this is to make amendments to bylaw number 1, which is a bylaw relating to the general conduct of the business and affairs of Geosands and its corporations, subsidiaries. It's a mainly a housekeeping item, as I said, and as a result of the amendments made to the shareholder agreement, which was approved by the shareholder on September the 12th, 2024. The proposed amendments were reviewed also by the Governance and HR Committee and Management and were approved by the Board of Directors on April the 30th of this year. A revised bylaw for Geosands Inc., Wasaga Distribution Inc., and Wasaga Resources Inc. has been presented to the shareholder for confirmation of this amendment. And with that in mind, that concludes our presentation, and we'd be happy to answer any questions. Mayor Smith.
Thank you very much, Peter, and Brandon and Ashley, excellent presentation. I'll look to members of council for questions. Councillor Belanger?
Yes, through the mayor. First of all, thank you for the dividend to the shareholder of same as last year, because last year, if I recall, you warned us that that may not be sustainable. So I'm not quite sure what was anticipated that didn't happen. But the other thing, when you talk about the beachfront being a priority, and I certainly understand that the planning for the capacity that's required down there doesn't lie just with Geosands. But if we go back just prior to this council being elected, we were able to stop a sale of our land based on them not reaching a development agreement. And if I remember correctly, the stumbling was that there was estimated $19 million cost for the upgrading of capacity for Beach Drive. So I'd just be a little interested in a little more detail of how we're going to manage that going forward. Obviously, it's complex. I mean, there's development charges and there's all kinds of things to take into account, but it is a fairly large sum of money, and as you indicated, it's your number one priority, so that's...
All right, thank you, Councillor. Who's going to take a stab at that?
Through your worship and Councillor Belanger, so we are a heavily regulated industry, and the OEB has been firm on two principles. The first is beneficiary pays, and the second has always been the first mover principle, which is whoever is the first developer to come into an area, if there is a capacity need, they are the ones to have to pay for that. So historically, we have been very tied to that regulated requirement, and there is not a lot of flexibility there. What we are seeing right now at the provincial level, there is a large push from the provincial government to ensure that housing is being built in Ontario. And through that, there has been a lot of look at the regulation and how the industry can best support development in that area where we are not the roadblock and where we ensure that there isn't regulatory red tape put in the way that is preventing us from supporting our community and what could be the right path as we move forward. So I continue to advocate on behalf of the municipality and of Wasaga Distribution to ensure that we have the ability and we have the flexibility to ensure we can get that development in the ground and support it. There is needs there. And for us, it's a challenge balancing what we hear and what we see is coming versus what is actually coming. So there is a little bit of a balancing act there, but we continue to ensure we're working with the developers, working with the regulator, and working with the provincial government as well as the municipality to ensure we are supporting those developments as best as we can.
Councillor, go ahead.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mr. Chair, did you want to say something? Peter, go ahead.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through Your Worship to Council, I think it's important to recognize we will not be a stumbling block anywhere. We will work with the developers and we will work for the investments needed from our own utility to make sure this happens. So to alleviate any concern, we will not be a stumbling block. We will make sure this does get done. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Councillor?
That certainly answered a portion of my question, so thank you. But the other question I had is the functionality of increasing capacity. As we prepare for that, is that something that up front that we have to prepare for the total capacity of the completed development, or can that be phased in? I'm not sure. Obviously the hotel is going to be a significant user.
Through your worship and to Councillor Belanger, it's an interesting concept, and I think this is where there's a lot of challenge in the province, where historically we've seen utilities and through the regulated environment where it basically was that first mover principle. Someone's coming in, it can be a small development, but if we don't have the capacity, they have to potentially pay for that larger, broader infrastructure investment. And there's been a lot of discussion around, is that really appropriate right now? And so the OEB, the regulator, is actively looking at that. They've recently released new regulatory requirements around a capacity allocation methodology. I personally have found that to be very limited and not as flexible to meet the needs of our community, so I have put comments forward to address that. Again, it's continuously working within the regulator, ensuring that we are being mindful of what our needs are and coming to a solution that best works for us as a community, knowing that we have such substantial growth projected within Wasaga Beach. We are relatively unique in the fact that we are a small utility, but our growth spreads system-wide, versus you have growth in the province, but you can have much larger utilities where they might just have pockets, so it's not as impactful as material to them as it would be for us. So we're continuously advocating, we're looking at solutions, trying to work how we can best manage this as we move forward. Knowing that there's an appropriate pace. So the pace of development does come into play here as well. So we don't want to be too aggressive and push forward too fast when, you know, we're in a period right now where we're seeing a little bit of a slowdown on growth. So there is a fine balance there as well. But my team assures me that we are ready. The board is very supportive, and we are supportive of the town to make sure that we are working together to get the best solutions to support development. And to the chair's point, we will not be a roadblock to any development.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. Next is Councillor White.
Thank you, Your Worship. Great presentation. Thank you. Just a quick question with regards to dividends. You did say in the beginning of the presentation that growth wasn't sustainable and might change in the future. Can you just give me an idea as the impact? Is that just going to level off, or is it going to retreat?
It's hard to say right now what the full impact would be. The intent is to maintain if we can. That would be the maintain and potentially look at growth over the long term. But we have a lot of needs in the distribution company. We have a lot of growth. And as we have a lot of growth, we have a lot of downward pressure. And we want to make sure that we are maintaining and being sustainable long term. So we want to be careful of how we're dispersing some of those earnings, knowing that we need to maintain some of that to make sure we can put that and reinvest that back in. So it's hard to say how that impact would, over the short term, impact the municipality, just because we don't know right now the growth, the expected growth. Like, we're kind of balancing that out right now, and other I guess other pressures that would eventually come down the pipeline as well. I think we have a good plan, and the focus is ensuring we can maintain it at least the existing level, but we do want the council to be aware there is risk there that it could drop, but I don't foresee it dropping significantly.
Thank you, Councillor. I think what's important to note there as well is that the dividend to the municipality for many, many years was $400,000 until we got into COVID. And then it started to increase. But the thing for council as a shareholder to also remember is that our value in the utility is simply not just dividend driven. We could receive less dividends and still gain much more value within the utility and the corporation as it builds and gets larger. So we have to be prepared in future to look at that. We want to make sure that our value is there, but it may not always be in the sense of dividends. And to what extent, I think that's just simply a question that we just can't answer at this point until we get further down the road. Peter and Brandon and Ashley have all indicated, this is a heavily, heavily regulated business. And so many of the decisions made are not within the realm of the shareholder or the utility for that matter. So it's a different kind of animal, that's for sure. And but I can't commend staff enough, the hard work they do and what we accomplish. I mean, we have an excellent utility. We have excellent staff, not only in the office, but certainly out on the road as well, who keep our lights and power on just about all of the time. All right, Councillor Ego.
Thank you. Thank you. And through your worship, I'm going on another vein, a simple vein here. I think your rating of 85% from residents is awesome. I mean, we've heard that feedback, especially due to the ice storm. It really highlighted it. So I recall a meeting we had here, I think it may have been the fire prevention, about keeping our community safe. And that time we discussed working with the town on perhaps being able to cull some dangerous trees. Were you able to do any of that before that storm? I've been curious about it.
Yes and no. We do have a tree trimming policy and program in place. So generally, we do separate that amongst regions within town. We have seen and we do respond if we know there's troubled trees in the area. We will go out there. We are seeing some heavily treed areas. We've seen a lot of growth over the last few years, and there are some more troubled areas that are materializing, but we didn't specifically identify any particular trees prior to the incident. It was just one of those things where we're relying on our program that's existing to address any sort of immediate danger or risk to the utility and to potential outages.
Okay, thanks. And a follow-up question, you said after the storm, there were some lessons learned. Could you share one or two of lessons learned? I'm just curious.
Well, one thing, I came into the office, we didn't have phone services, and we rely on keypads to get into the building. And we realized very quickly the batteries of the keypads didn't work, and I couldn't get into the admin building. So those were little things that we wanted to make sure we had more of a manual mechanisms available to get into the building. We had a generator fail, and we didn't have that repaired quick enough, but we had anticipated using one of our EV vehicles to back up some of our IT software so we can get back in running to communicate. But again, because we couldn't get into the building, that plan that we had in place wasn't available. So those are two of the kind of the minor things, but they kind of did amplify some of the things we needed to address. The crews, making sure we had more staff with two-way radios. That was also one thing that we thought was valued, not just the field staff, but also our communication team as well, to make sure we can respond to the community, but also be in a position where, we weren't constantly out there, talking to staff, interrupting what they're trying to do to restore power, just by having the ear on the phone. That gives us some information. So those were some things that we had taken. And from other municipalities, we had heard other municipalities, and other utilities, I should say, they had gone away from the two-way radios as well. So they were relying on cell phones, and knowing that all of a sudden the cell phone towers were down, so we lost that ability to communicate as well. So little things like that to tweak. We had staff also go and support other municipalities and utilities, and knowing how they had organized themselves. Now they were in the surrounding areas, they were in a much more serious situation than we were, but to know that and how we were preparing and leading up to that, it was taking it, if we had to go the next step, we felt that, even some of the things we were learning, discussing what the other utilities, how they were organized, were things we wanted to integrate within our plans. I was very fortunate. I had talked to Craig, the fire chief, the morning of the incident, so it was good to know that we had that direct line of communication. I couldn't call him, but he was in the office, so we were able to kind of connect in person and know that we were, if needed, ready to go even further as required. So there was a lot of little things here and there that we took back and really reviewed with our staff and our team, and I think it was an experience that we were able to take back and build into our plans. So.
Thanks, Brandon. That's interesting, and you can see how it's helpful moving forward, and it's good working together. Thanks.
Thanks.
I have to say, when the councillor asked that question, a little smirk come across Brandon's face, because he's thinking, okay, I've got to tell this story. And then, of course, Ashley's sitting beside him, and she just got a big smile on her face. That was really interesting to see that dynamic. The good news is we learned from that, and even our fire department that morning was without phones and without, we have two-way, but they were able to work, but worked together. And I'll say that, we fared very well through this, not only from how the storm affected us, but how quickly the staff at WDI were out there and getting the issues fixed, and so quickly that we were able to send crews out to help our neighboring municipalities, of which mayors have thanked us for, and are very grateful for that. So again, our distribution company, top notch, comes to the rescue. So good job on everybody. All right, next is Councillor Timms.
Thank you, Your Worship. And I just have a bit of a housekeeping question. I think it was about 2 years ago that in my neighborhood, the hydro poles were replaced, but I noticed that the old poles are being left behind. Is that a purposeful plan, or is that something that will eventually be, they will be removed?
Yeah, so we do schedule the pole removals when we're able to get the telecoms off the line. So we would normally go and we'll replace the poles, but Roger and Bell, they generally linger a little bit longer, and it's dependent on their resources. So once we get the go-ahead from them, then once they inform us that they removed their telecom lines, then we'll go and remove the poles. But we usually try to plan that where it fits within our work schedule. So we have seen it linger a little bit longer, and I know my team is actively looking at that to make sure that process does speed up a little bit. Being a year to 2 years out is not acceptable in my mind, and it's something that we know is a lingering issue.
Thank you. Now that you say that, that's exactly what I see on those poles. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and I would say that Bell and Rogers are lagging way behind in their ability to do that type of work. So, but we're getting it done. Deputy Mayor Snell.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, just a couple of comments and then a question. Your bylaw totally makes sense to go from 5 years to 8 years, because it's so hard to find quality and qualified talent to join your board, which obviously provides such important oversight. I'm also really happy to hear about the priority on preparing for growth, because I think, you know, all the great work that's going on at the beachfront and their communications team, we've got international eyeballs on us right now, and we can see the real estate activity that's happening through town. You know, the one property, the old Parkbridge building is sold. There's other stuff that's gone up for sale, so I foresee a lot of infill, higher density stuff, mid-density stuff coming down the pipe. You're billing and collecting of $882K, so that's outstanding balances where people are in arrears on their bills. Is that the case, and what's your policy for trying to collect that? It was under your expenses. I'm just assuming that's what it was, for clarification.
So, yeah, billing collecting generally is more of salaries, labor, and some of our support for our billing services. It does have some of our write-offs, but we didn't really, it was a very minor increase in our write-offs from our bad debt there. So it was mostly just labor and support services.
Thank you. Through just supplemental, that's really great to hear, because people are struggling financially, you know, with all the increased expenses, and I'm really appreciative of how the rate has stayed pretty steady in spite of everything else in the world going up so much more. So thank you very much for your great work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Snell. Any other questions or comments from members of council? All right. Excellent presentation. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work. We do have a recommended motion here. Grab a coffee, because this will take a while. The recommended motion is that the shareholders receive the presentation titled Geosands Inc. 2024 Year in Review to the Special Council meeting of Geosands Inc. AGM of June 25th, 2025 for information, and that the shareholder approves the audited 2024 consolidated financial statements of Geosands Inc., and that the shareholder confirm amendments to directors' term lengths in Geosands Inc., Bylaw Number 1, Wasaga Distribution Inc., Bylaw Number 1, Wasaga Resources Services Inc., and Bylaw Number 1 as attached, and that the shareholder confirm the following Geosands Inc. board appointments: Brian Smith, Peter Prager, Keith McAllister, Robin Plum, Jeffrey Harper, and that the shareholder confirm the following Wasaga Distribution Inc. board members: Brian Smith, John Wersma, Ron Stevens, Raymond Trask, Gerald Wright, and that the shareholder confirm the following Wasaga Resource Services Inc. board appointments: Brian Smith, Bruce Young, Paul Trace, Charlie Adams, and Dino Dezoutzidis. Sorry, Dino, if I butchered that. Could I have a mover and a seconder for this motion, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor Snell, seconded by Councillor Belanger. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Under item number 5 of the agenda is deputations, and we have none for this meeting today. Item number 6 is staff reports. Any questions from council on the staff report? All right, we do have a recommended motion in that the report titled Electricity Board's Director Remuneration to the Special Council Meeting Geosands Inc. AGM of June 25th, 2025 be received, and that council approve the Board of Directors compensation rates for Geosands Inc., Wasaga Distribution Inc., and Wasaga Resources Inc. for the 2025-2027 as outlined in this report effective January 1st, 2025. Mover and a seconder for this plea. Moved by Councillor DeLeo, seconded by Councillor Ego. All in favor? That carries unanimously. Item number 7 is matters for consideration. We have none. We have no closed session in this meeting. Item number 9 is bylaws, and we do have the confirmatory bylaw that the bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the special council meeting of June 25th, 2025 be received and to be deemed and read a first, second, and third time passed in number 2025-25. Mover and a seconder for this, please. Moved by Councillor Tim, seconded by Councillor White. All in favor? That carries unanimously, and this meeting is adjourned. We will reconvene at 10 o'clock for our next meeting.